You're listening to the Soul Work for Moms podcast, Evolution Through Mothering. My name is Michelle Duncan-Wilson, and I believe that the journey of motherhood is one of the greatest opportunities for soul work. You might be asking the question, what is soul work? And on this podcast, soul work is defined as taking the hardest parts of life and using them for personal and spiritual growth. This is episode 0, an introduction episode. It's an introduction to Soul Work for Moms, and it's also an introduction to me. Every episode after this one, I'll be interviewing other people, so if you'd like to know a little bit about my background and why I created Soul Work for Moms, this is the episode for you. Thanks for listening. Okay, so I've been a mom for my entire adult life. I became pregnant at the age of 17. At the time of this recording, my daughter is now 16, and I now have 2 more children, boys ages 7 and 2. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio during the school year and in San Francisco during the summer. I have an incredible love for music, playing and listening to, and I'm married to a man who describes himself as a software architect and occasional writer. Growing up, I really never gave much thought to being a mom. I didn't particularly have dreams of being a mother. As a child, my daydreams were actually of being a doctor. I thought it would be really cool to have the initials MD. And as I entered my teen years, I went the unschooling route, and my dreams changed to traveling the world, living an untraditional life, bike riding across the country, living in a straw bale home. If it was non-traditional, I was all about it. Fast forward just a couple of years, though, and I found myself with a beautiful little baby to care for, and all of those dreams took a backseat to surviving and providing for my new family. Of course, I grew up in so many ways during those years, but it was really after the birth of my second child 7 years ago that I really started to dive deep into exploring the idea of mothering as a really powerful way to grow both personally and spiritually. Until my second child was born, I was a working mama, primarily managing coffee shops. For a while there, I owned a spinning, yoga, and Pilates studio, but when my husband and I started talking about having another child, I said, I really don't want to until we have the financial ability for me to be a stay-at-home mom. I hated all the daycare drop-offs, and at the time, my husband and I were both in the retail world, so I hated the scrambling to find someone to watch my daughter on the weekends. You know the drill. So we worked really hard to pay off some debt, save some money, and when the time came, I got pregnant. I quit my job and was going to live happily ever after, or so I thought. So the next 3 years were by far the hardest years of my life. I will say harder even than the first years of being a teen mom. What I didn't realize at the time was that I had a ton of soul work to do. I struggled with a lack of identity. I resented my husband for having a career. I decided to go back to work, and then I quickly realized that that wasn't it, so I came back home. I struggled with body image, so I worked out obsessively, and when I finally got my body to look like what I thought I wanted, I realized that wasn't it either, because then I was in fear of losing that body, which I have since happily lost, by the way. Changes in my relationship with my husband over the years, worries about my children's future. The list was never ending, and I was constantly in a state of fear, anxiety, anger, and despair. To be honest, sometimes the role of mother felt like way more than I could handle, and sometimes I worried that I had permanently ruined my chances of living a fulfilling, exciting, beautiful life. From the outside, most people would be surprised to hear that because I put on a big smile, but I was dying inside. I loved my children with all my heart, but I was very unhappy. There's something that I would tell my daughter anytime that she would come to me with fears about taking a test or dealing with girl problems at school, trying out for the team, etc. And what I would tell her is this: if you're walking down a path and you come to a thick wall of weeds and brush covering the path to where you want to go, you have 2 options. You can turn around and go back the other way, or you can push through the brush to get to the other side. The brush is messy. You might even get cut going through. But if you turn around every time you hit the wall, you'll never move forward in life. You'll never know what lies on the other side. You have to be willing to get messy and go through the brush if you want to see what more life has to offer. So it finally hit me one day that what I was telling my daughter was true for what I was dealing with. I needed to deal with my insecurities of being a mom, my fears of not being attractive anymore, my worries that I wasn't parenting my children right, my worries that they weren't turning into people that would be successful in life, fears that my husband would one day find me uninteresting. And I mean, the list goes on and on. So for the last 3 or 4 years, I've made it my mission to not turn around when I hit fear. I've made it my mission to break through my vulnerabilities. And since making that conscious decision, my life has opened up to become so beautiful, so fulfilling, and most importantly, I feel so whole. Of course, I still get triggered by things. I still have more vulnerabilities to break through. But the difference is that when I feel that suffering now, I know what to do. And I call it soul work. So now for the introduction to Soul Work for Moms. Since that decision to push through my vulnerabilities, I've had such a profound transformation that I decided to create a workshop to empower other moms to do the same. So last year, I wrote and hosted the first Soul Work for Moms workshop. And at the end of the workshop, I have participants fill out a feedback form. And over again, women tell me that their favorite part of the workshop is hearing the stories of all the other moms. So I wanted to create an outlet for more of that, and the result is this podcast. Each week, I'll interview different mothers from all different backgrounds and stages in life about her journey of motherhood, the struggles she's faced, the wisdom she has to offer us, and about once a month, I'll be interviewing an expert guest as they share tips for growing and evolving through motherhood. So if you're a mom, I want to hear from you. If you'd like to be on the show, you can go to soulworkformoms.com, click on the top where it says be on the show, and send me a note about what you're currently struggling with or how you've grown in motherhood. If there's someone you think I should contact to be on the show, someone who you would just love to hear about their journey, or an expert that you think would have something of value for this audience, you can let me know through the same tab, be on the show at soulworkformoms.com. While you're there, feel free to download a free gift that I made for you. It's an MP3 called Morning Motivations for Moms. And it's just what it sounds like. It's an audio file for you to listen to in the morning to get centered and grounded before you start your day. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, both at Soul Work for Moms, so I would love to hear from you. If you are a mother who's ready to break through your vulnerabilities and step into wholeness, this is the place for you. I'm so happy you're here. See you next time.